All right, so good evening, everyone. So I'll be reporting chapter 4, which talks about enabling rapid digital transformation. So this chapter was written and prepared by John Gotze and Alex Romanoff. Okay, so this slide talks about the prerequisites for rapid digitalization. So today, in order to survive in its rapidly changing ecosystem, an organization needs a digital business strategy, which may include business model, business architecture, IT, security, social-cultural, and other aspects in some combinations. So the point for a rapid digitalization is we have four topics here. First is have a solid business knowledge. Second one is have it structured to enable rapid change. Third one is able to systematically explore it for digital opportunities. Fourth is predefine parts of architecture to be eventually digitally changed. Okay, so here on this slide, so this talks about enterprise readiness for rapid digital change. So on the left side is talks about in order to be digitally adaptive, an organization needs to anticipate the following. First is where in its business ecosystem, introduction of digital interfaces may become necessary. What business opportunities such as introduction would create? What business model tweak that would require along with related social cultural changes? And what security, privacy, or compliance issues this may cause and how to deal with them. So the key idea here is ensuring preemptive readiness of architecture, interface specs, and prioritize development requirements for a self-sufficient module, which is a specific component of the whole overall business architecture knowledge base, which is for rapid digital change implementation and preemptively revealing opportunities for digital transformations long before any technical implementations are considered. It is an important function of a business architecture. Now, on the right side, so business digital agility, as you know, is not about sprints or other agile buzzwords. In order to be able to digitally adapt in a fast way, the enterprise must be provided with the following: a ready-to-use modular blueprint, an ability to pull that blueprint and identify the modules involved, a method and know-how to rapidly modify the architectural blueprint, a method to be preemptively ready with the assessment of potential security issues. Now, let me ask you why classic business architecture is not enough. So according to the chapter, classic business architecture inclines to develop detailed, complex, holistic models around capabilities and/or business processes, reflecting the end-to-end complexity of the enterprise. So just to give you an example, like yung different two methods of delivering projects, right? The waterfall model, which is the classic model on delivering projects, and the new one that's very popular right now is the agile way model to deliver the project. So if ever a project is completed, such models do reflect the current understanding of strategies which existed when the business architecture exercise started. Often by the time of completion, they are already obsolete due to changing business environment. This classic approach traditionally takes a lot of time, cost, thinking manpower, and includes lots of arguing about methods of depiction, but often causes the business architecture endeavors to lag behind urgent enterprise opportunistic reactions to change demands. Next one. So this slide talks about identifying digital transformation opportunities. So the chapter says mentions three opportunities areas for digital interfaces in an enterprise. To introduce any digital innovation, one must first define one or several interfaces. So we have three interfaces. One you'll see here in the chart. There's one on the outside of the box, two on the left side, and three inside the enterprise, inside the blue box, and there's one over at the bottom. So again, to introduce any digital information, one must first define one or several interfaces where the information flow or material resources are crossing some boundaries. These interfaces may be digitized, and a new digital initiative involving changes to business architecture components may be built around them. In order to find digital opportunities, one must first understand around which existing or implicit interfaces those opportunities can potentially emerge. An enterprise has three potential areas, as I mentioned, for introducing digital interfaces. We depict them as red boundary lines, as you can see in the chart, across which some information or resources flow occurs. And for the sake of clarity, we call them the type 1, type 2, and type 3, which you'll see in this slide. Let's talk about those different types. So type 1, which is an external interface to an external client. This may exist or be the future state and may currently operate via the different channels to snail mail to truly digital. Type 2 on the left side over here is also external. It's an already existing interfaces to third-party providers, suppliers, and partners, etc., and the current ecosystem. These also may already exist or be envisaged in the future and may operate via different, including digital channels. Type 3, which is mostly inside the box under enterprise. They are the internal interfaces between the sets of business functionalities. So you can see here A, B, C, D, and E. And we use this term in order to stay independent of any specific architectural frameworks. Okay, moving on. So let's give one scenario for type 3 digital interfaces in business transformation. So, scenario one, some business capability is redundantly repeated within multiple silos of an enterprise. A decision is made to consolidate it into an internal service and digitally providing its output to all previous internal and possibly new external silos or clients. A new, previously non-existing interface must be established in order to enable such digital transformation and enable establishing internal centralized business service. Let me give you as well a second scenario so we can grasp a picture of this chapter. Some business capability traditionally exists within the body of the enterprise. If you remember under the blue screen, the blue box in that slide, and the processes implementing it are deeply intertwined with hundreds of other internal processes. A decision is made to outsource this capability to a third-party provider digitally. The interface needs to be established between this capability and the rest of the enterprise by cutting a multitude of existing live processes and introducing information exchange modules into multiple points of previously monolithic body of business architecture. Assembled from these interface modules, the previously non-emphasized interface should become the one enabling digital transformation to interaction with an outsourcing provider. Now, besides the understanding of potential interfaces, which can become the predefined seeds for rapid digital transformation initiatives, the enterprise business architecture must be generally ready for rapid changes. Typical end-to-end complex models usually require a lot of time, consuming remodeling in case of desire to change. Below, one of the many methods to structure business architecture in such a way that its changes can be done rapidly. So looking on this slide, this tells us the principle of modifiable pattern-based modularity. The first one is as simple as possible business architecture modules based on reusable patterns. So this is correlate to the the agile methodology that I mentioned earlier. The second one, sets of hierarchical business rules modifying these simplistic modules to specifying to specific business situations, business lines, legislation, regulations, business models, and etc. Now let's now talk about governance of pre-componentized business architecture. In order to be truly digitally agile, an organization needs to have not only the business architecture knowledge base, but have it in such a form which reveals possible digital interfaces and is ready to support an IT agile projects immediately upon the business decision. And to achieve this, the background explore continuous activity must be producing and managing the business architecture. Traditional governance of the end-to-end monolithic architecture is not convenient for this. So looking back on the slide, it must focus on three aspects. The first one is architecture modules, modifiers on top of high-level architectural framework. Second is maintenance of modular business knowledge base, including continuous reflecting changes, introducing by implementation projects. And then potentially expose interfaces of modules and potential related issues with security, privacy, and compliance. Now, this slide shows the two-speed business architecture as a service. We focus on enabling two distinct business services within the same organization. Strategic, slow, systemic business architecture with preemptive digital business opportunities and definition. And a tactical, fast burst business architecture, which is the second one, supporting implementation of preemptively identified digital business opportunities. Ideally, both services should be governed by the architecture principles and be driven by the team of architects who intrinsically know both the result and state of the strategic business architecture and the discovered and pre-architected digital opportunities and related business views and requirements. As any well-defined business service, these can stay within the organization or be outsourced to a third-party vendor, say a consulting organization, if that is found efficient. So on the left side of the slide, it talks about the strategic service, which encompasses managing business improvement areas, including digital, continuously integrates changes from projects to keep the knowledge base up to date, manages and governs business knowledge base repository of pre-approved, modifiable, and digital interface equipped modules. And while outlining potential changes, it provides continuous security and privacy assessments on potential digital interfaces. The right side talks about tactical service. It is an agile, on demand, as rapid as possible, short term, quick transformations support. It is triggered by urgent business demand. from the company. It rapidly generates a transformation business case and case architecture on demand. It guides agile IT projects to use business architecture modules, which is based on componentization as the basis for the delivery prioritization. Okay, actually, that's the last slide. This ends the chapter 4, and I hope you learned something new today. Thanks everyone for listening.